UCA proudly presents our quarantine project, Fortune Cookie Conversations, interviews and conversations exploring the unique Chinese American experience beyond fortune cookies. Hello, May here to talk to you about Amy Ling Lin. If you haven't heard of her, you've probably heard of her company, which is Sundays, a vegan, non-toxic nail studio that is based in New York. If you're ever in the mood to make your nails look pretty and make you feel pretty, and you're in the New York area, I highly recommend that you go take a visit there. You can also buy some of their products on their online website, which will be linked in the description below. I think in terms of how progressive she is, especially in an industry like the nail industry, she is pretty up there in terms of progressiveness. And I think it's because of how amazing her personality is, and her company is a clear reflection of who she is. And I think to understand who someone is, it's really important to look at someone's upbringing. Upbringing can affect a lot of things, even the smallest things, such as your favorite ice cream flavor.
Favorite ice cream flavor is green tea. I guess I always a tea lover, especially my dad used to have a tea farm, so we grow our own green tea. I guess it always reminds me a little bit of that memory. So yeah, I really like that. And it's not too sweet too.
I feel like every Chinese immigrant thinks that everything is too sweet. Like as a kid, I was never really allowed to buy sweets from the store because it's all too sweet and my parents hate it. Yeah, that's unhealthy. I probably shouldn't be eating that anyways, but... And that's actually how I got into baking. I wasn't allowed to buy cookies, so might as well just make them myself. My parents say this with salt as well, and that's why we don't really go out to eat a lot. I feel like that's a very Chinese thing. She also mentions how important food is to Chinese culture, and I definitely agree. I feel like food itself is just Chinese culture. There's a holiday for almost every food out there in China. It's crazy.
Food is just culture and memory. So my favorite one is the rice noodle, Mei Fen. I used to, when I was in school in China, even high school or elementary school, we always have that for lunch. Just never change for 5 days straight. We're just eating the same thing. And I couldn't find exactly the same ones here, but every time I was constantly searching for that. And then whenever I have that, I feel oh, bring back the memories. I grew up in China, so I feel definitely a lot of things that it's hard to change is part of me, definitely. The food, I love all kinds of food for sure, but at the end of the day, the comfort food definitely, it's whatever your mom cooked or whatever I got it when I was little. So because I have that certain emotional connections with it, and or the way I drink tea, because my dad used to have a tea shop, so we drink loose leaf tea, which is not common here. But I have been talking to clients about why we do loose leaf tea, because we want to see every single tea leaves. We want to taking time to do kung fu tea. It's part of our social, drinking, or happy hour. We do tea hangout, something like this. I think that's something. It's just part of me, and I really I have a tea set in my house, so it's just I don't think I will change, but I'm proud of it. I feel there's something different.
I often wonder if Chinese kids know how lucky they are to be able to have good lunches provided to them by a public school. At least for me, my school lunches suck and I hate them, and it would be such a privilege to be able to have Mian Fen served to me. Oh my gosh. The one good thing about this pandemic is that I've been able to enjoy food at home instead of having to go to school. Enjoy that. Also, everyone who I've talked to seems to have some very touching nostalgic ties to their favorite comfort food, but honestly, my favorite comfort food might just be sugar because I was limited to it so much as a kid. So now, every time I have it, it's like a reward. I do think that this will definitely change as I get older. My mom is a really good cook, and the thought of not being able to have that every day, I don't know, it's like really surreal to me, but I know that's gonna happen, and it's scary, and she's a really good cook, like I mentioned before, so I'll definitely miss that, and her cooking will probably become my comfort food when I'm not having it every single day. So, enough about food and upbringing. Let's talk about her actual personality. I think Amy has a very good attitude. She's able to be very confident and firm in herself, and I think this is a skill that's very hard to come by, but it's very important to have.
When the COVID come out, when the president labeled it as like a Chinese virus, I think definitely like it create certain like stress on a whole group of people who live here, who is like part of the society. Then one time I was like taking Uber, and I have my name is like Amy Lin, and then the driver who's happened to be a Chinese, and he told me, he's just like, would you like to change your name just Amy? Cause I'm just worried about people like see that you are Chinese, people might see you differently because they know your last name. I was just like, no, I'm not gonna change it. I'm not gonna change it. And then that doesn't make sense, as you explained that before. Like we just, if they do feel differently, maybe I can explain that to them. Like people need more education, even just explaining to one person. But I'm not gonna hide my identity, change my name to Amy.
2020 definitely sucked, and 2021 is 2021. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just, it deserves its own little term. But yeah, it sucked, and it's really easy to submit to all of this racism right now. I'm really glad she didn't. I'm really glad that she acknowledges the racism and rejects that, while also knowing that some people just are uneducated instead of just plain racist.
One thing I would like to share is my personal experience is just don't assume people's intention. I think when I just moved here and people will ask me, I was trying very hard to talk to my American classmates, to talk to everyone on the street, to just get to know people. And then sometimes when I hear comments like, so you're from China, like does Chinese people drink coffee? Why you guys like have watery rice? Like when I cook like porridge, my roommates would tell me this. I think I got offended. I was just like, you know nothing about Chinese culture, or you just like, why you don't even know this is like what we eat every day. Why make a huge deal out of this? And I think people sometimes just generally don't know. It's a question. Like I probably ask a lot of questions to other people, or like the similar things, but because I'm curious, like why you eat food with that ketchup, why you eat so much ketchup or something. Like people might take it like the same way. I think if we can bring down that barrier, just like, oh, it's just a question, like, hey, why you ask that question? Like we actually do drink coffee, and then actually Starbucks do open in China, only things, and just explain that and then get to understand each other. I feel like it can bring people closer, because after that I just shut down. I just like, no, I can't hang out with these people.
As a kid, I didn't really understand this, so when someone would ask questions like the ones that she mentioned, I just get confused because like, how do you not know? But obviously I didn't know that not everyone grew up like me, and that wasn't something I figured out until I was like, I don't know, 11. So whenever someone asked me that, I would get offended at first, but then I just realized they're just curious, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think culture is something that should be shared, and I really love how diverse America is. She explained how she wasn't always like this, and it was quite eye-opening.
I feel like I'm become more individualist. Speak up about who I am, or just share more about who I am, versus in the Chinese culture that I grew up in high school. Like we all wear the same, we have the same haircut, we do like something very similar. Versus like right now, I really want to embrace that. Like, okay, it's great to be different, and then it's good to speak up, or it's good to talk about yourself sometimes, or just like to accept when people say, hey, you look amazing. Oh, thank you for saying that. You did a great job. Okay, great. So I think that's something that I change.
I didn't even know that America was so individual. I don't know how you say it.
Individualistic.
But apparently it is, and I've actually realized that it actually is after people pointed it out to me. I think it's a good thing for the most part, but it's also a bad thing in certain ways. Like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't depend on each other enough. And sometimes it's okay to depend on someone. As you can see, she is quite relatable, and she also said this other quite relatable thing in regards to the pandemic.
During the quarantine, I spent quite a lot of time just like working on the business, bring everything. We were having physical locations before, so bring everything online. Learning new skills, like how to expand the business through e-commerce, how to create a community online. So it's something different, but it's like very exciting to do. And I have been so focused, and to a degree, I was just like, I've been spending 5 days in my apartment. I don't know exactly outside. Like I don't miss going outside, and that's like how focused I was. But I only do that for 2 months. Then month 3, I'll be like, okay, I need something else. Wish besides just working, I feel like it's such a great opportunity to connect with ourselves. Like where are you gonna find this time to just sit in a room? Like I live by myself. Just spending time with yourself. Like doesn't matter how you feel in this time. I feel lonely. I feel anxious. Like I think it's a great opportunity to tune in, to really learn about yourself. I feel because I was so busy with work, I didn't have a lot of chance to just like spending time just with myself, to see how I was doing. And then, and then I just started doing that last week.
I think it's very easy to overwork yourself in times like this, and I hope you're not doing that. For those who may be struggling in this pandemic right now, she actually mentions a method that she recommends to help you.
I was like, because I grew up in China, like smaller town. So I think it's like a very traditional ways, like people has a bird, like I grew up, and people has like bird as a pet. So I actually liked to do bird watching in the park. And I recently I do that more and more, like just like bird watching, because I feel like they're so free. They're not self-conscious. They don't care if you're watching them or if you don't watch them. They just do it whatever they wanted to do. Like very free. No birds like self-conscious. Am I flying the right way? Am I pretty? Am I successful or something? I feel I really like bird watching to just see how free they are. And also it can I feel like it's like more like meditation. It's just like when I'm overthinking sometimes, it can channel my energy to something outside. Like I've been thinking about, oh my God, this this is horrible, and this is horrible, something happened, or I have so many things to do. And then I think when I just like start watching them, like looking at them, I feel like it channels my energy and it relaxes me. And then, yeah, I recommend people to do something similar, or if they, because like sometimes we're so into our head and we forget about these things outside.
I don't think I personally could ever birdwatch. I noticed over the quarantine that I'm not very good at spending time with myself just in solitude. Like I've started to stretch before I go to sleep, and it's like a 15-minute routine, and even that I get bored pretty easily. So that's something I should fix, and I probably should start bird watching. But it's really hard for me to find birds. Most of the time, my interactions with birds are quite scary. I vaguely remember feeding a bunch of ducks bread, and then they all started chasing me, and then I tripped, and then I started crying. So yeah, I don't have the best experience with birds, but maybe you will, and maybe you will like bird watching. I never really saw birds the way she described them, but I don't think that's a bad mindset. And now I don't see fear when I look at birds, but rather I see freedom. Her kind, self-care oriented attitude was kind of unexpected to me. When I think about people that come from China to make businesses here, I usually think of people who just really like money and they don't care that much about what they're doing. You see this with restaurant owners a lot. And if you actually look up Sundays, her company, you'll see that she's not doing this for money at all. And that's very, very respectable, and I hope more people become like that. And I know it's hard because it's a very money-oriented society that we live in, but there's more to life than money. It was nice doing this interview because it reminded me that behind each company is a person with feelings and struggles, etc. I feel like it's pretty easy to forget that. My overall impression of her is that she's probably someone my grandma would compare my mom to. Like if you look at her LinkedIn profile, she went to Columbia and FIT. That's pretty huge. I do think there are quite a lot of differences in people like her who are actually born in China and people like me who are born and raised in America. What made me really sad is when I asked if she faced any discrimination because of COVID-19 and like everything that's been going on surrounding Chinese people and COVID-19. She actually said she faced a little bit. I think the reason why it makes me so sad is because a lot of the people born in China don't even realize that a lot of things are offensive. Like the things I mentioned in Chin Chin's video with the fetishization, I feel like a lot of the people born in China won't understand why it's a bad thing, and some of them might even take it as a compliment and think that they're just really into Chinese culture when that's not always the case. And sometimes there is a layer of racism and fetishization, which is not good on top of that. And I think that's why in general the crimes against Asian Americans really hurt me, because a lot of these guys are elderly and they're so nice. Like a lot of these people they haven't even done anything bad. And they don't realize that bad stuff is said about them. I would much rather me get beat up by some racist instead of my dad. I think that's one of the main differences between people born in America and those who weren't. Like there's just certain things that you learn and understand when you're actually born here compared to those that were actually born in China. And I feel like another thing a lot of people, those born in China, don't get is cultural appropriation and why that's bad. But those are just my 2 cents. What are you guys' thoughts?